Hello, everybody out there. Are you listening in? Are you tuned in? We got another episode of the Talk That Talk Show with me, Barry Holmes. Happy holidays to everyone out there. I know a lot of us will be celebrating Christmas with our families. So, of course, for especially our YouTube live people out there, you're going to see that I got this holiday sweater on for the cheer, the holiday spirit. But, happy holidays to everyone and to all of the families in there tuned in and to everybody spending the time with their families. We want to make sure that it's very, very important that you appreciate that family time, especially around the holiday times where, it's made special by spending those times with the people that are most special to you, right? So, I'm just very happy to be here and enjoy another installment with you out there. I want to shout out everybody to our Facebook live stream. Also, you can check out our full episodes at Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. That's like I said before, we also have our own YouTube live channel now as well. So I'm just really excited to continue to give you all weekly content every week and just show you a little bit about who I am and what some of the things that I like to do. We always talk about being more than just a sports show. So I'm just really excited and really pumped to give you all this last episode of the year because I have set up for you 2 guests. I know in the past we've had guests one at a time, but this time tonight we are going to have 2 guests on the show. So definitely really excited to give you 2 guests here. One you might know, you might not know, but you're going to know today. And then also somebody that's really close to me as well in the family. So everyone out there tuned in, thank you. Thank you to Ashley Lynn. Shout out to you on our Facebook live stream. But to get us started in this show, I gotta bring out our very first guest on the show. One of my really great friends, somebody I've known since I was 4 years old. We always just have such great times together, and we were out hanging out last week. We had a stressful day at work, and we just hit the back call. We was like, yo, you want to hang out? All right, let's hang out. So we went to our spot, and we discussed, and we just had such a great time. We was like, let's do this again on the podcast. So I got to bring him in here. One of the most awesome, socially aware people. I love him. Let's give a big shout out to my boy, Kevin Schaefer.
I appreciate it, B. I appreciate it. I appreciate the love.
Man. Thanks for coming.
I'm here to hang.
You're not going anywhere too fast, man. So, thanks again for coming on the show, Kev. How you feeling right now?
I'm feeling good. As I was mentioning before, I'm a little stressed out for the holidays and all, but it's okay. It's coming together. I'm happy to be on the show. I'm a big fan. I hope everybody else is too.
Oh, okay.
Watching on the regular, so I'm happy to be here, B. Absolutely.
Oh man, and like I said, we just always have such a great time hanging out together, and I'm just really happy to bring to the people out there like Randy G just some of the conversations that we have. And I think that a lot of the times we have such great times and such fun times in New York, and I think we just have such an advantage living here in the tri-state with just having that accessibility to be here in New York. So why do you feel like New York is just so dope, and why you chose to then live out there?
All right, yeah. So I've been out there for 2-3 years now. Well, I mean, in this new apartment, I've been out there for about 2-3 years. I went out there first in 2013, and I really chose to go out there to go to college. So I was at MCC. I mean, for all the Edison viewers and Middlesex County viewers, you're aware of the great Middlesex County College, the Colts, I believe it is. Go Colts.
Yeah, go Colts.
So I started there, and I was a little bit of a knucklehead, I guess you could say, and I was really trying to figure it out. And I went to Pace University, actually. So I studied business economics, really enjoyed the time there, but it ended up I got a position, Me being the talkative guy I am, I got friendly with some professors, and they said, you know what? You can't shut up, and we need somebody that's pretty good at that. We need a little bit of customer service here, so come on in. So right now I'm a academic advisor for the economics department over there. Really enjoy the job. It's fun helping these kids. Some of the times I got some funny stories just from talking to these kids. They're real humorous, but I really do. I enjoy it. But I chose New York, just like you were mentioning before, the accessibility for medicine. What are we? We're a hop, skip, and a jump. We're
Just hop on the train.
25 minutes on the express of NJ Transit, which I think was just recently voted the worst transit system in the nation. So
is NJ
no
Transit
shout
really?
out to NJ Transit. To get y'all. You're lucky this is a family TV show for Barry. That would be cool.
Now I'll rip them too, because there's times that I've been waiting at Newark and the train hasn't come, and then you're looking to people, that have the NJ Transit uniforms on, and they got no answers. So it's like, how can you not give me no updates when you working here,
it's
man?
Ridiculous. They don't even care. They're just like, I'm here on time and a half. So
but I bet you they come around and get our ticket, though.
And they got a car parked in their parking lot somewhere, so
yeah, just waiting to get you.
Yeah, NJ Transit, bless their soul. But no, so even with the inconveniences we sometimes have, that's really why I chose Pace. I mean, I say Pace, New York. Obviously, I have a close association with New York and Pace at this point.
Of course.
Alma mater and my current employer, but that's really it. I enjoyed it out there. I really made quite a network of friends doing various things in different fields, and it's just a great spot to really try and grow as a person, both professionally, personally, and you gotta take advantage of it when it's right here. And it's a little too expensive sometimes, but shout out to Nikki G, my roommate, holding it down with the solid rent, my man.
Yeah,
but yeah, so it's cool, man. And I love being able to have my friends that I grew up with being just a Central Jersey native. Mm-hmm. And for those of you that are not from New Jersey, you may hear a debate every now and then on social media about whether Central Jersey exists. You can Google it.
Yes.
It most certainly does.
Yes, it does. I'm not South Jersey. Yeah. I'm not North Jersey.
And it runs the Trenton, okay, people? I'm telling you that. Don't debate me with it. It runs the Trenton. But, yeah, so I think just being so close to home and being able to have my friends come out and check me and, just catch a vibe of the city, it's really fun, meet a lot of people. It's great for networking, like I said.
And like with you being out there in New York and trying to make a difference here at these schools, being at Pace and helping out these young students, what do you see as with these younger kids or the younger generations of college students? What is it that you see that they struggle with the most, or what you feel like you have to advise with them the most with?
So it's funny. So I first started working there in 2015,
mm-hmm.
and I had also graduated from there in 2015. So some of the people that I was acting as an advisor for were my friends that I was just going out to parties with a little while back.
Mm-hmm.
And with them, I say that to say I think I'm a little biased in what I'm going to say next, right, to answer the question.
Okay.
With them, I really thought that they were, they acted as adults. They were able to handle things on their own. They didn't need much guidance. Most of them had internships or, jobs lined up to get paid much more lucratively than myself. And,
yeah.
And shout out to all my friends that do. I love them for it to this day. Like, keep knocking it down. But nowadays, I just as example, I got an email today. The semester ended on the 20th. I believe that was the Friday. Mm-hmm. And I got an email today from, 2 or 3 students. And, it's a day off. I just figured let me check the email on the phone real quick. And 2 or 3 of them are asking me to send emails to faculty members that are outside of my own department, management professors or, art professors. And they're asking me, could you write this email or could you proofread this email? And I think the younger generation, and I'm sure I'll catch some flack for this, would be they're a little bit needy and not being able to just look through. You have to kind of just be able to prioritize and look through the steps of things sometimes and not get overwhelmed about it. And I think today people really just, as much as we have this focus and emphasis on mental health, people aren't really able to prioritize and break down things in a structure that keeps them calm and, progressive and, completing things. People get overwhelmed very easily, and I think that's very clearly seen when I'm dealing with these students.
I think you definitely bring up a big point of having these students be we don't want to coin them lazy, but, just not trying to seek out the answer.
Yeah, that not to cut you off. That's what I would say, though. I would say I don't want to say they're lazy because there's a lot of great students, and they really do Pace our economics specifically is really well known for our competitions in monetary and fiscal policy. Mm-hmm. So our Federal Reserve Challenge team just went out and, we win this thing. It's a national competition with universities all throughout the country. We beat out Harvard, we beat out Yale, we beat out Princeton.
Shout out to Pace.
Yeah, we have about 5 or 6 fantastic students, and we have some alternative students that could fill in short-term notice. Mm-hmm. And they're just eyeing the market at all times. They're watching all the policies that the Federal Reserve's implementing. they're hearing what our administration in the president's office is saying, which, that obviously impacts interest rates. And I mean, that's a little bit over my head, although I am in the economics department.
Yeah.
But, they do great things. I mean, people could Google it. Since 2012, we've been coming in first place. I mean, we might have had 1 or 2 years off, but it is. So I don't want to, just to speak to that, I don't want to say they're lazy, because we do. Just,
oh, no.
They're fantastic, but it's definitely... They're needy. I think the best way to say it is like they're needy. They don't know how to kind of grab something by the reins. I sound very old-fat. I feel like older and older as I'm speaking right now.
And I think that
that's really it.
No, but you definitely bring up a point about, being needy and, not necessarily being lazy. And I do think there's a clear distinction as far as being needy for the right reasons and just being needy because you want something done for you. And in my experience in working in some of the schools, and I remember we had talked about it the other day about how it's just such a stressful day or such a tough day, but you have certain people that come in with such negative mindsets, and when you're trying to then make a situation where it can become collaborative with them and you want to put them in with being productive, and they're trying to dismiss you or dismiss that information that you're trying to give to them, and when they ask you for things, then they're just asking for them to be done for you. And I think that clear distinction is something that's very, very difficult for some people to grasp. And, the only way and the best way to then push people is at times to not even give them the answer, And
that's what happened today. Those days, man, it's Monday. It's the eve of Christmas Eve. There's a lot of friends that have children recently, as we all know.
Yes.
There's a lot of gifts to be bought, a lot of Target and Walmart stops to be made. Those kids got 3 quick responses. It was one response with 2 copy and paste. That's
it was one original.
It's out of my realm. I enjoy you kids greatly, but not today.
Yeah.
But it's interesting just to see, and that's not to speak. We're very similar in age, right? So I think you actually graduated the year before me, right?
I think I graduated 08. I graduated 08.
So yeah, me being 09, I think we definitely see it, and I can speak for myself. I would say I wasn't the strongest of students. I definitely had a little bit of a lazy work ethic. Mm-hmm. So it's not to say that you don't see that in previous years and previous generations. I just think it's more prominent now.
Yeah, and even more so in sports, I feel like at times where you have these athletes that are pretty much given the world, and they just can't just stick to playing playing the game, man.
It's difficult though. I think that to myself. And there's times where we all fall victim to being critical of people when we've never experienced what they're going through. So people give Odell a lot of grief, and I forget the guy. You may know who he is. You're better with the media than myself. Nick Wright, I think his name is.
Okay, yeah.
You might have heard his take recently on Odell. And he's saying that Odell really had like a squeaky clean year, and he still can't stay out of the limelight because he wears his Philippe Patek wristwatch and stuff like that. We have to remind people, what is Odell, 26 years old?
Yeah.
He's younger than you and I. People, give me Odell Beckham's money. You want to see what I'm going to come on that field with? You guys are nobody would know Kevin Schaefer.
Balenciagas.
They think I'm Deion Sanders, but I would be crazy. So we have to think it's different for each person, and it's an individual aspect over and over again. But I think with sports you see it pretty heavily, and I think it's good that you see a lot of things through social media now with sports, where you see some of the issues that athletes have behind the scenes coming to light, because I think it gives fans a little bit of insight to be less critical on something that we could be critical of James Harden taking 60 shots, but it's like, could any of us actually be where James Harden is?
Nah, definitely not. You see some of these athletes, and they have those unique talents, and they have those specialized things to perfect their craft, and just the way that these teams take advantage of their likeness, and even with the college sports, with them trying to have them now get money, it's just the athletes have transcended realistically, how people perceive these, athletes, man. And it really is important to then see how is it that you're going to take this leadership, or how are you going to take this fame and acclaim, and how are you going to then make the next generation just as dope or even better than you are. And I feel like that's why so many people respect Lamar Jackson, and even with me, even like with him saying nobody cares, work harder. It's those athletes that can then, transcend the game and make the game better through just being themselves, man, and not hurting the game. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And when it comes to Lamar Jackson, I'm a big fan of Big Trust, baby.
Big Trust.
We out here.
Yeah.
Boynton Beach, Lamar Jackson. That's my guy.
Yeah.
But, I don't know why I said Boyd. I'm an Edison boy. But nonetheless. So, no, you're absolutely right. And I think it's crazy when we see those. They're really, like you said, they're like generational players, and maybe because some of them come by. Think with the NBA, we had such we had Allen Iverson, and I say he really transcended the game of basketball.
For sure,
people weren't wearing. People had cornrows, of course, but the NBA, he made it a style. He had tats on his neck. He had the sleeve on. Kobe wasn't wearing a sleeve before Allen Iverson was wearing a sleeve.
No, he wasn't. And, he didn't have tats either.
And you see even with people like Chris Anderson having tatted up to the neck,
Birdman.
Yeah, it's so. Granted, he may not be the first person you think of as what's the word that we were just using?
The trendsetters.
Yeah. But people like that, they really they show a different side of the athlete, you know what? Chris Anderson was a bad example. I take Chris Anderson back. I'm trying to justify it now because I knew we were live, but no, there's no way.
It's all right,
he's not the same thing as an Allen Iverson or LeBron James, something like that.
Well,
Lamar Jackson, a Mike Vick, these guys, it could go on and on.
And I think what you kind of speak to the differences is how you can affect the game with your play, and then also how you can affect the game with your personality,
Absolutely, yeah, outside of the realm of the stadium.
Oh, yeah. And I would... it's crazy because I think one of the funniest things that they say is that, how does Baker Mayfield have all these State Farm commercials, and he hasn't even won a playoff game, So it's even somehow some of these players that aren't even necessarily that great still get those commercial deals and these athletics and it's pretty crazy, man, when you think about it.
Yeah, it's really, I think with some of them it just shows to personality. They got that star factor. What's the social media's blowing up about Jameis Winston, right? You saw all those memes about Jameis Winston.
Yeah, throwing all these
yards. How you throw for 40 touchdowns and 39 interceptions. And Jameis Winston's a star.
Yeah.
I'm eating W's all day. I remember the stupid speech he had. I'm a fan, but I wouldn't say he's who am I? Again, this is me speaking on negatively. I'm being a hypocrite right now. We were just saying, don't speak critical of these athletes, but I don't think he's a prime quarterback in the league.
Oh no!
But I think nonetheless he has that star factor. Baker Mayfield, I think he's starting to lose that star factor. Though I think if you don't see a change within that next year, this coming season, you're going to see a whole lot less State Farm commercials and maybe some more XFL commercials. And you can see it happen. Think Johnny Manziel. Baker Mayfield was a better Johnny Manziel, and
he didn't really do much yet.
Man. And you have weapons like Jarvis Landry, Odell,
Nick Chubb, who led the league in rushing. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Kareem Hunt coming back after his
suspension,
his issues. You had a lot of options, and
still couldn't get it done.
So again, that's a personality thing. He really set a name for himself, and he marketed himself well in college. Where was he? Oklahoma?
Yeah.
I'm not even a college football fan.
He
I know where
took
he went,
he took that flag and he put it down right on Ohio State.
He talked a lot of trash. He was I think he's a country boy that could talk trash. But, you could market that,
Dude, look at Gardner Minshew. Nobody knew who this guy was.
Prime example.
You know what I mean?
That's a perfect example.
Yeah, man. Here you have Nick Foles who came off and he was hurt, but then Gardner Minshew, who realistically is a backup at best, but he gave some personality to who he was with the jorts and the little mustache.
All the myths came out about him through Instagram and social
media. Yeah, he had some buzz,
and I hope he got some money off those mustache sales.
Oh man, there was a spike.
Get the check if you see this going.
I think Baker tried to take his style too with the mustache, man.
And he probably tried to chalk it up. It's no, I'm not biting. It's no shit November. It's yeah, Baker. That's why you got one more year left, man. And
he's done for.
Stardom's over.
Now, it's funny that you actually talked about it because one of my friends, he's actually a sponsor on this show. Shout out to Cody Bromley at 91s.com. But I think one of the things that he sent out a Facebook invite, and he sent out that invite for the XFL about how he has season tickets and how he's trying to tailgate. And, as someone from us who, love the NFL, watch the Giants, you watch our respective teams, I just want to know, from you being someone that lives in New York, we bleed blue, bleed that tri-state, would you actually go to an XFL game? Like, do you think you would go?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think it's ever going to be something that is going to take the place of the NFL, even with all of the NFL's failures in regards, whether people see them as failures or not. Business-wise, I'm sure it was a failure. Like,
Yeah.
They lost money, people.
I mean, Trump was...
Regardless of your political views, I'm sure they lost money.
Wasn't he in on the USFL too, I think?
Wrong.
Yeah. It was one of those terrible leagues.
But yeah, he did. He tried to start his own league.
I think he had the New Jersey. It was the New Jersey team.
Yeah, but this was like the American Football League.
Yeah,
he had like the AFL or something.
I think it was United States Football League or something like that.
Yeah, and that was Trump funded. You're absolutely right.
Wow.
Or he had a portion of it, something to that effect.
Yeah.
But no, I would definitely root for it because I don't think it's like a competitor to the NFL. I think it's a complement to the NFL. It's going to be another way for athletes. It's going to be another way for young athletes to get into the NFL without students that aren't eligible for college, maybe, or are coming from more humble beginnings that are kind of having life against them. And like, I could use one curse.
Yeah.
They're getting the shit under the stick. I don't want to curse. I'm being modest, so I got my curse out. Thank you, B. But
see your light work for that. That's only a quick little edit.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, see, I'm trying to keep it modest with that. But so I would definitely root for it. Who's it going to? I think it's the New York Gladiators.
New York Gladiators. I mean, I saw the logo.
I don't know how many XFL players came into the NFL. I know He Hate Me got in there. He Hate Me.
Like, I mean, when we were younger though, that was such
the same thing as Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Like, He Hate Me. He was a fourth grade receiver at best in the NFL, right?
Oh yeah.
And he marketed himself on a non-professional level, an amateur level, or I guess in the XFL case he wasn't professional, but like minor league type system. And he made a name and he got a little bit of bread. But his jerseys were selling when he went to the NFL,
Yeah, I mean you can still get a He Hate Me jersey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like I remember that distinctly.
That's another jab at you, Baker.
Here we have Chris Higgins. He said it's like Bellator compared to UFC. I mean, is that a good comparison?
First off, shout out to Chris Higgins.
Yeah, shout out to Chris.
That's my brother for sure. But he probably hates me because I never answer the phone. But it's okay.
We are good.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, Higgins probably hates me because I don't answer the phone as often as I need to. But I do think that it is very similar to that. But I think even with Bellator and UFC, again, somebody that is more familiar with those leagues could probably prove me otherwise, Mm-hmm. I think they're more in the realm of competitor against each other rather than XFL and NFL. Like, UFC becoming popular really since, like, what? And again, don't chew me out because I'm not. I said XFL. I meant to say UFC.
Yeah.
UFC becoming popular. What, in like 2005? Like that's really when it took off. So it's like a relatively new thing, Mm-hmm. Still, like I'm sure they're the billion-dollar business. Like what, Conor McGregor dubbed himself the billion-dollar man or something like that.
He's making that money.
That.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he was, and he was talking that BS when they sold for that amount.
I mean, even his fight with what's his name, Floyd Mayweather. I mean, even though he lost, he took home a good purse.
Absolutely.
And that was huge for UFC because I mean, for a good bit of that fight, it looked like Conor was giving him a little. He was staying with it.
He was staying in, but Floyd was toying with him. But,
yeah, he was. But, he was. It was entertaining.
And I like Conor, but he was. Mm-hmm. But I do think with it just being like a newer league in comparison to Bellator, and Bellator does have backing of people that are really trying to get it off the ground. Like they're getting aired on FX, I think, every day. They have these people like 50 Cent and these promotional people that have big followings that are still keeping it a blast. Like I think the way the comparison would be is like the way Dana White sweats a little bit at Bellator, where who's the current commissioner? Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell is not dropping a lick of sweat over any threat from the XFL.
No way.
He's probably going to start trying to charge them rent for using his stadium. I know it's not how it works.
Tax on that would be crazy. I mean, is it even that crazy to think about? They could, maybe.
I mean, well, I think most of the stadiums, like MetLife is owned by MetLife. That would be a MetLife decision over an NFL decision.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely would root for it without question. I'm gonna root for it. And hell yeah, I'll buy tickets. They're probably cheaper than Giants tickets. I got the Giants tattooed on my arm, as you know, and we're just trash. You know what? Our last game, I think Daniel Jones He's showing promise, right? What do you think? 5 touchdowns, no picks.
Yeah,
we're against
he was
the Redskins.
lighting it up.
They're the only defense worse than us, right?
Well,
shout out to Dwayne Haskins too. That's whether he claims it or not, he's an Edison head. We appreciate that.
Young Dwayne.
Yeah, and I think it was a good game, but. We're definitely the worst team right now in the NFC East, even with us beating the Redskins and their terrible defense. It's our defense that's really worse. It was just a blessing that Daniel Jones did his thing,
Now, do you think, as a Giants fan, like I know a lot of people have been asking, what do you think, what is your true opinion on Danny Dimes, and do you think he can be your franchise quarterback for the Giants?
Yeah. I definitely think so. So initially, I think like the rest of the country or the rest of the Giants fans, everybody said who the blank is this?
Yeah.
And we were all a little pissed off about it. But at this point, I think he showed promise. I think Eli is a good person to have behind the scenes that's kind of coaching him into this role. He seems comfortable with media, and he doesn't seem to be distracted by a lot of the things that people like Baker Mayfield. I keep taking jabs at him.
It's so easy. When you don't win, it's easy for you to do that.
At this point, I kind of felt like a theme with it, too. So it's like Christmas, where I said, let's stick with making fun of Baker. But, no, I think he could definitely be the franchise quarterback. But, I thought the same thing with, Sam Darnold, right? And I think people are questioning that right now. I don't know if they still are, though. I haven't really been keeping up with the Jets.
Well,
last time I spoke to a Jets fan, though, they weren't too thrilled with Sam Darnold as their franchise QB. So. And
by Jets fan, do you mean Andrew Disney?
I do, in fact, mean Andrew Disney as well. That's it. Another shout out to Andrew.
Shout out to Andrew. But, I'm just so thankful that you were able to come here on the show, Kev. And, really for my last question before, I let you go here, I just want to know, what is something that you, and you're, having coming into adult life now, right? And, we start to hit that age now, we're almost about to be 30, where, life is starting to shift a little bit. And I guess for you, now being in a nice position as an academic advisor,
I don't know how nice is subjective. We'll put it like that.
No, I mean, you're doing...
love you, Pace University. Don't fire me if you see it.
No, but you're doing well for yourself, man. And I guess my question to you is, how do you stay motivated? And, what are some of the goals that you're looking to achieve here in this new year coming up?
So I'm definitely going to try and get this... I think we paused again.
Oh, we paused. Okay, we're coming back. All right, we're back.
So I'm definitely going to try and get this master's program back happening. So I was formally enrolled in a master's of public administration program. I enjoyed it. I'm looking to go a nonprofit route and, really create my own 501c3. Nobody wants to start a nonprofit. You have to do a C3 because then you could donate money to political campaigns. And I'm not saying specifically political campaigns, but you could, back and show support for specific laws, whereas other nonprofits have to remain, nonpartisan or bipartisan?
I believe so.
I don't know the proper vocab here, but that's definitely a route I want to do. So I don't know if I'm going to go back to the MPA program. I'm thinking maybe something with information technologies may be more suited for me now. So definitely want to get back into the master's program. Fill out some paperwork, get this nonprofit off the ground. I'm speaking with one of our viewers before, Chris Higgins. He's a very active person in the nonprofit sector, so I was thinking of trying to team up with him and try and get something off the ground. We'll be back on the show for that.
Okay, we'll have to reserve a space for you.
Yeah. Other than that, I have a nice lady now with a young daughter, so. As far as motivation, I kind of enjoy where I'm at with that relationship, and family always needs a little bit of help too, so. We keep motivation is plentiful, that's for sure. But it's how much I want to really donate to it. No, I'm joking. But it's the holiday season. We'll keep it cheery.
Right.
But that'd be it.
Oh man, thank you so much for coming here on the show, Kev. You're one of my best friends ever. Like I said, we've known you since I was 4 years old, and every time we hang out in New York or here in Jersey. I always just have a great time with you, man. And they always say you got to keep the right people around you to motivate you to do big things. So, I definitely want to thank you for being who you are, for consistently being a motivating factor, man, and just doing positive things, man. You know
Absolutely.
What I'm saying?
Always a pleasure. Coach B in the house, everybody.
Yes.
Fireworks, Pure Sports, talk that talk.
Yes.
Everybody, this is good things coming here.
Oh, man. Thank you so much, man. And, oh, man. Thank you so much, man. And that was such a great interview here, and I'm so glad that Kev got to come here on the show and show the people a little bit about who he is and some of the things that we like to do, and just some of our regular conversations. Man, I can't tell you how many times that I've been out with Kev and we just shot the shit, just had some fun, and it was just so much fun, and I think that it kind of speaks to the holiday times again about what you need to do, and you got to have fun with the people that mean the most to you, and really cherish those times and encourage more of those special times. If you have that family member that you haven't reached out to, or you have that friend that maybe you hadn't had a text to with in a while, definitely reach out to them. I know that me and Kev talked about it before we went on live, but we said that even though we might not see each other every day, we might go months without seeing each other, but we still always pick up wherever it came from, as soon as we got back and got to see each other. So I'm glad that we got to share that with you all in the first part of our double feature. This is the first ever double feature episode of the Talk That Talk show. So I know everybody's probably asking me, well, who are you going to have on second on the show? Who is it going to be? Well, we've had my mom on the show. We've had my dad. Well, my dad's always on the show in the background. We've had my mom on the show. We've had my brother on the show. And now it was only right that since she is here from college, she's the big D1 athlete of the family. We had to give her own part of the show. Everybody give it up for Touri Holmes. Touri Holmes on the show.
What's going on?
Pick up the mic.
Alright, I don't know where to look, but I'll just look over here.
Yes. So, what are you doing?
Well, what am I doing?
Oh man! So, pretty much for those people that don't know, this is my younger sister Touri, and why don't you tell them what you do, where you go to school, why don't you talk a little bit about it?
Hi everyone, my name is Touri Holmes. I'm a junior at Morgan State University, that's located in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm in my third year, so I'm majoring in computer science. I am also there on scholarship for bowling. A lot of people don't know that is a collegiate sport, and you can get paid to do it. So let's not have that debate on whether bowling's a sport.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
I used to be one of those people, I'm not going to lie, I used to knock it. But then once the money started touching the hand, it was a little bit hard. And then I saw you. And, I think I always, look up to you in a way because, you were able to take, something that you really liked as far as bowling. And you got to really, get your education for that. So, what was kind of the process for you towards...
Fortunately, bowling is offered in high school in New Jersey. That's not very popular throughout the country. It's very few states that offer it as a high school sport. So I didn't have to do that many tournaments outside of, high school. High school, we had matches and tournaments on Saturdays. So all of the college recruits and recruiters, I should say, and coaches would go out to those tournaments, and they would kind of pick out those little highest scores and stuff. And I actually placed 11th in the state my sophomore year. And I think that's where everything started to change. I started to get a lot of different looks and stuff like that. And I ended up going to Belmont Abbey my first year, as you know.
Yes, yes, I do.
That's one reason just to never give up, because you may start off somewhere, but you can always end up somewhere else. So, all right. You can always end up somewhere else. So I did start there. I had an experience there, and it made me better. I learned from it, and I moved on to Morgan State University, and here I am now. And like I said, they're doing wondrous things for me, paying for my school, giving me all the different things that I could possibly need as far as supplies. I don't have to pay for books. I don't have to pay for notebooks. I don't have to pay for a pen. So, all I do is check out. I say I want this, and they, go ahead and swipe that card.
You swipe that card. Come on.
It was a long way to get there. But but like I said, you have to start somewhere. I didn't have a full scholarship at Belmont Abbey. So, again, don't give up and always just keep going, because I was just there, I said, I want to start, I want to continue, I want to go into college, and I took that risk. I went all the way out to North Carolina and had that experience, and it was definitely an interesting one, and I'm happy to say I made it here to D1 level.
D1, man. I mean, that's not something a lot of people can say. And I think for those people that don't know, and I think this is going to be a great question for you to kind of let people know, just to even give you a little bit of a heads up, it's one of the jokes, the running jokes between me and my sister has been, because I've been having such a high average, and now, I have a higher average than my dad in a certain bowling alley that we won't say. It's such a nice little competitive, push between the family. And one of the things that you had said to me is that, well, Barry, I haven't bowled on a house shot. I bowl sports shot, It's so much harder. So I guess, my question to you is, what's the biggest difference between the house shot that I bowl league on and then the sports shot which you bowl on consistently?
Okay, so the best way to answer that, I think, is just by going again. So this is where bowling becomes a sport, right? Mm-hmm. Bowling is very technical. People don't realize it, but there's a lot of different components that goes into bowling. It's not what you see on a Saturday night. Yeah. We do not play with bumpers. The lights are not turned off.
Yes.
The pins are not glowing in the dark. This is not what you see on a Saturday night. Mm-hmm. This is where bowling becomes very, very technical. There is oil patterns on the lane, and this is where I say, okay, in high school we bowled on a house shot. I was bowling 250s, 200s. It was fine. That's where the scholarship came in. House shot is very basic, minimal oil. It's not hard. Well, let me not say that. It's less challenging. So then when you move to the collegiate level, they want to test, okay, you could do that. You know how to bowl. You have a form, you have a technique. Okay, you could shoot some 200s in there. So then you go up to the collegiate level and you start bowling on pro shots. Now, this is what you see on TV. A lot of people see bowling when they watch the celebrity match. Who is that? Chris? I don't know who's in that.
Chris Paul, Mookie Betts. A
lot of the basketball players, famous athletes. You don't know it, but they know how to bowl. And so you see them pull out their own little equipment, and they're bowling on these hard patterns and trying to get strikes here and there. So that's maybe more the level that people might understand as that harder pro shot. So this means that you need to target a specific board. There's different volumes. There's different lengths of a pattern. And so it pretty much comes down to how well you're able to pitch a ball on a specific spot on the lane. Now that spot on the lane can be as little as this. If you go outside of that mark, then your ball's going straight into the gutter. Yeah. So the pro shot is highly technical. You have to be very specific. House shot, you may have a couple boards there. Second arrow, I can throw it up. I could carry a strike and it'll be,
flush.
A flush, yeah. So I want to say that pro shot is much, much more specific. So I went from averaging 200s in high school, then to dropping down to 160, 150. I wasn't doing too good. But then once you realize that it's not the same, not the same. You need to focus and take it one shot at a time. And that's when you go for more spare shooting. You'll see it's not necessarily a strike game. I want to say a house shot is more how many strikes can you get in a game. Yeah. And then pro shot is, can you make your spares? Can you make your 10 pin? Across 42 feet of oil. Jeez. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. So pro shot really filters out the
good from
the advance.
I see what you did there. So is Dad good or is he advanced? I don't know. But
so that technicality is really what makes the difference, is being more specific, more focused, and hitting your target.
Now, being that you bowl on the sports shot or the pro shot all the time in college at Morgan State, was there any time or any match specifically that you remember where it just clicked to you right away and you were just like, wow, I think I got this,
Well, uh, um,
Still work in progress.
yeah, still work in progress. But I have to say it varies because throughout the bowling season, people don't realize you travel from state to state. I have been, I want to say, through like half the country on the East Coast. Just through scholarship and, being in college on this collegiate team, I've been able to travel to Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, Maryland, you name it, I've probably been there. I'm super excited next semester. We're going to be flying out to Florida again. Oof. And flying out to Georgia. And so pretty much what I'm trying to get at there is there's different alleys, there's different patterns. You can be bowling on 40 feet, 38 feet, Of course, not everyone's going to understand that immediately, but it's just different challenges. And so throughout my years bowling, I feel like I've gotten a chance to test out some of those patterns, whether it be Tokyo or there's some pretty funny names like Eiffel Tower. Like there's different little depictions of what this oil pattern looks like. And so was there ever a game where I just clicked? I feel like throughout the course of the day, people don't realize that you may get up at 8 o'clock in the morning and start bowling and you won't finish till 4:30 in the afternoon.
That's a lot of games.
There's a lot of games that you'll bowl. There's a lot of reps you'll have. So the first game you might not get it. That fresh oil is tough. And then once that breakdown starts to happen, more and more people are bowling on your lane. Then you may start to get, I'm like, oh, snap, like, I got my line right here. Yeah. And I'm going to keep hitting it. And then I may shoot a 230 that game. But then when I shift pairs, and that's another thing, that's another component, showing whether you can handle the challenge of breakdowns. And so we shift pairs, and if people don't know that, it's the little lanes. We shift lanes. And we just get a different feel for all those different patterns and the breakdowns and stuff like that. So it all changes. I have to say that there wasn't necessarily a specific point, but for each tournament, everyone has their high. Mm-hmm. But GMCs, we're in the MEAC conference. 3 individuals on our team placed in the top 20, which is really amazing. I was placed 17th.
Oh, nice.
Another teammate was placed 18th, and then I believe one was either 10 or 11 or something like that.
Nice.
So, yeah, I want to say maybe MEAX was good. I love my team this year. They're amazing. We got a new coach. Shout out to Coach Falvo.
Okay, all right.
I love him so much. He has done tremendous things with this program. He gave us a whole new arsenal. For people that don't know, we got brand new bowling balls. And these bowling balls can range from $200 to like $300 a piece. Yes. So bowling is
without drilling.
Without drilling. So that's an expensive sport in and of itself.
So let me ask you this then. So like, since you've gotten all that equipment, like I know a lot of people out there, especially some that bowl, would definitely like to know like what's some of the bowling balls that you really like right now? Like what's the first ball in your bag, or what's a ball that you feel like you can't just put down?
Oh, this is hard because I just got a new arsenal. I got all new balls. Mm-hmm. My coach bought me 3 new balls. He got me the IQ Emerald.
IQ Emerald. A lot of people are throwing that on the lanes.
I have never seen so many IQ Emeralds on a lane before. Or
really?
Even in a tournament. Some of the best teams in our conference or even in the bowling world are using that IQ Emerald. And it's a really strong ball for cutting through the oil, and I have to say it's a highly recommended one.
Wow.
And so I've been really working on that one. I just recently moved to 15 pounds. That's another...
Heavyweight.
That's another thing. We do not use those little 10-pound balls. I got strong arms, guys. We work out. That's another thing. People don't realize we work out twice a week. We get up at 7 a.m. Mondays and Wednesdays. Shout out to Coach Green, okay. My strength and conditioning coach. And we got a lot of different things, a lot of different aspects going here. So what
else besides the IQ Emerald? What other ball?
I'm still working on the vibe.
The vibe. Who makes the vibe?
The vibe, I believe. Who is that by? That's Hammer.
Hammer. Okay.
Hammer made the vibe.
I think my boy Jeffrey Lee, he's a big Hammer guy. He likes
Okay.
it.
Yeah, Hammer, I feel like I've used more in high school rather than college. Luckily, we're not signed to any specific or partnered with any specific company, so we can throw Storm, we can throw, Roto Grip, whatever, whether it be Hammer or something else. We're not confined to that one company, so the vibe is. It's good for the drier, drier lanes. So, for me, I throw the ball fairly, I don't know how to describe it. How do you describe...
What, up and in? Or...
Yeah, I'm trying to describe it in a way that the viewers would understand. It cuts in hard. So I really have trouble... lessening the damage in the back end. Like when I throw my ball, I throw it around like 16 miles per hour, and
you might throw it harder than me.
yeah. And sometimes it could really bite, and then that's when you leave those nasty splits or something like that. Yeah. And so the vibe is a calmer ball, so I'm trying to find a calm ball that will take some of my hand off and allow me to have a softer hit into the pocket. Sometimes you don't have to see the smash strike like you see. Yeah. Sometimes a mix, I'll take it. An X is an X on the board. So
oh, man.
It all counts.
That's right. I like that. Well,
yeah.
I think that's, how could I say? That's a good way to put it, because I know a lot of people really, you call them the crankers, where they're really just looking for, those pins to just smash, but high rev rates. But I think it's very important that if you can just get somewhere around the pocket and keep those to one pin spares like Dad says, then you're gonna give yourself a chance. And I kind of want to ask you this, because shout out to my boy Jason Pintus. He's always trying to give me these tips to make me a better bowler. But I was, we all know I was a little hot this past week, shot my first 2 700s, then shot 685,
And that's across how many games?
Across 4 different bowling alleys.
So 3 games. So that's a 700 divided by 3. So what did you average?
Wait, so you're talking about 3 games? Yeah, I had 700 and 707. So I don't know.
So you'd have to average over 200. Like you're averaging at least like a solid
230? 230? Oh, 230. Yeah, about that.
So anyone that knows that, the total count is 300. So 230 out of 300 is very good. And to do that across 3 games, not messing up, making your spares and hitting your strikes is very impressive.
And thank you. Well, but yeah, one of the things that was pretty cool, and then also on Tuesday, shout out to my brother, because he wound up getting his first 300 games. So he had a perfect game. And, after seeing him, it was so motivating for me and then to shoot 700 myself 2 times in a row. Almost did it 3 times at the Saturday, but I shot 685. But one of the things that Jason Pintus had told me is that, you can't really shoot for score. Like, there comes a point in time where you got to stop shooting for score. And I just want to hear about, like, what your stance is on that, too, because it kind of really helped me out.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like you should take it shot by shot, and don't let anybody rush you. When you take your shot, it is you on that lane, and it is you throwing the ball, and it's your score. So don't let anybody think that, you can keep this pace or hurry up or something like that. Everyone has their own form. Everyone has their own style. So you got to take your time and shot by shot. And I don't recommend looking at the scoreboard unless you like that. Some people like the
thrill.
I need to get a strike, and that's what we call our anchor bowlers. The people that like that. When it comes,
no, not that. Yeah, I'm about to take his spot, man. Get out. Get out of here, man.
To define an anchor bowler, so say if you're head to head with somebody, it's tied up in the 9th frame. You're set to the 10th. Now, who can do better? You have 3 chances. You have a strike, and a strike. So who can get all 3 strikes? That's the question. And so that's where your anchor boys come in. Now I'm gonna look at the score. All right, so he got a strike. All right, look what I'm about to do. I'm about to strike. Like you're gonna have to follow me, follow my lead. Mm-hmm. So that's where you can look at the score. Some people, they don't like to, because then they get all nervous. Like, oh my gosh, like I need to get 20 pins in order to win. I can't do it. And it happens. Some people get nervous, but it all depends on what type of athlete you are and what motivates you. So, sometimes I look at it, I'm like, oh no, I'm not about to lose to this person.
Yeah.
We're not about to lose. So I'll look at the score and I'm like, all right. So I could catch this person. And bowling's a lot of math too, so anything could happen. Somebody can throw a gutter and strike out and still beat you.
Yeah.
So it's really a game changer, just taking it frame by frame. Yeah. And so I would recommend, I look at the score. I like it.
She said she like
looking at it because I don't want nobody to beat me.
Yeah.
So I'll look at the score and see, what can I do? What can I do to catch up? So
I think it's, the main thing also too is just to remember to just have fun, and anything that you do out there, whether you're playing bowling or whether you're, doing rowing or whether you're even sewing some sweater, I don't know. You just got to make sure that you're doing things that are fun for you. Shout out to my boy Jimmy Cowbeck. He's actually my teammate on Sundays. And I just have and part of the reason why I joined their team midway through the season was because I just had so much fun hanging out with them and being a part of that team, And I think that that's the one aspect of bowling and that I've really embraced is just how much fun I just have doing it, how much fun I have meeting new people, and then just to hear you and you're saying about how much fun you've been bowling and how you've got to go to all these different states and these different tournaments and ball in these different oil patterns. You get new balls from your team, for, bowling at Morgan State. I just think that it's just so, there's so much fun to be had in bowling, whether you want to be competitively or just, going out there to have fun. And I just think it's just something that people just don't really take advantage of that much.
I definitely agree. The atmosphere in a bowling alley is so much like home. Like, if you walk into your league, you're saying hi to everyone. You're like, oh, what's up, John? Yeah. And then you move on to the next lane and you see your friends over there, too. Mm-hmm. And when you get older, it turns into the league play where, you might have a beer or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then, enjoy each other's company. And there's this mutual understanding that bowling isn't so mainstream. It's not basketball. We're not all tuning into a bowling match. But we just love to be around each other and have that fun, competitive spirit. And just like I said, being on my team, we are all like a family, and we go away for weekends at a time. So we're spending a Thursday, a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday together, all together on a bus ride, on a plane ride. So you get to know the people you bowl with pretty well. And then, you develop friendships and, stuff like that. So bowling is a small community, but we're united, I want to say. Yes. And so everyone knows everybody.
Yeah.
You go from,
especially if you striking.
Yeah, so them high scores, you be on the lookout. You be like, oh, Barry's here? Ooh, he just shot a 700 last week.
Yeah.
So you keep your eye out for certain people, and you want to be on that radar. You definitely do. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, I definitely want to thank you for coming here on the show, Touri, and making this whole double feature super complete, man. For the people out there, they get to really listen in and see a great episode.
Barry has a sister.
Yeah, I have a sister. I do. She is here. This is my sister. Yes.
The last one to appear, but they always say the best for last.
Oh my God! This is why she stays stay in your room. But nah, thank you so much, Touri, for coming on the show.
Of course.
I love you so much.
Yep.
But we gotta say goodbye to all of our viewers out there. Shout out to Jimmy. Shout out to Manager Chicarone. Shout out to my boy Rose, my boy Say, Jeffrey Lee, Jason Pittis. I'm here. All right, I'm here. Shout out to James Chang, Eric Mahoney, Antoine Jefferson, my boy Keith Pierce. All right, our boy Attaboy, Jeffrey Farrell, Antoine Jefferson again, Chris Higgins, my boy Keith Pierce again, Laszlo. Ryan McMurtry, Randy G. We had so many people here on the Facebook live stream. So we want to give a special sponsor, shout out to our sponsors. VW Liquors located in Edison, Wick Plaza. Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets! We always do that for Dave at the end of the show. Also want to give a shout out to Executive Bar and Restaurant located in 30 Menu Street, Carteret, New Jersey. And then also, like we said before, 91s.com to our boy Cody Bromley over there. He's got some of the best acid wash apparel in the game. And then there's one last thing that I wanted to talk about before this show is over. This is very serious. So, just recently we had somebody that we went to high school with that died. She definitely has struggled and had a tough time. But around this holiday time, it's definitely, like I said at the beginning of the show, it's something that you want to take, you can't take for granted. And you want to spend all of that family time that you have with your family members, and you want to make sure that you tell the people that you love them, all right? We don't tell, everybody enough how much that we do love them. And you don't know what that can do for somebody. So, I want to definitely say rest in peace to Kat. My memories of her was she was just a very nice girl. She was funny. She had a very nice smile, and I definitely want to say that and this was actually asked to me when I went to go talk to Kev Schaefer before the show, and we really wanted to just tell the people out there, anybody that's listening in, check on your friends, see are they okay, ask them how they're doing, because pay attention, be a good friend, a good family member, because you never know what somebody else is going through. So, definitely I'm going to give you all the suicide prevention hotline. The number is 1-800-273-8255. That's the suicide prevention number. If you have somebody, if you're feeling out there that you can't take it anymore, or nobody out there cares, or nobody wants to listen, or something is so big enough that you don't want to live anymore, call that number. If you have a family member, call your family member. But we want to make sure that we have as many people alive on this earth for as long as they can be, and to see someone not go as long as we thought that they would, as much as we would like them to. And that's a tough pill to swallow for everybody, especially for the family members around such a special time like the holidays. So again, the suicide prevention number is 1-800-273-8255. All right. My name is Barry Holmes. This is the Talk That Talk show. Thank you everybody for tuning in every single week. I love you all. And you know what? I will see you all in the new next year. All right? And that's it.